And I remember just sobbing on the floor and asking God, why was I even here? And I've heard that from a few clients. Why am I even here? If all I'm going to have is crap, if I'm going to grow up in a crappy environment, if I'm going to have all this crap happen to me as a childhood, and then I come into adulthood and I still have all this crap happening to me, what's the freaking point? And unfortunately, I have to say that the point is to get through it. The point is to walk over those coals and rise like a phoenix from the ashes. The point is to get through it. And I know it's really hard, but when you are able to look back at your past, and I mean really look back at it, really look back at your childhood and your teenage years and evaluate how you were raised, what you needed, maybe what you didn't get, what you got too much of, what you really wanted as a child. What did you want to be when you grew up? What did you want to be? First thing that comes to mind, think about that. I know that I wanted to be a meteorologist. And when I told my mom that, and I loved weather, I told my mom that, and my mom said, well, you're not good at math and science. And that was end of story. And looking back, I think if that my daughter came to me and said she wanted to be a meteorologist, I would say, okay, great. And let's say she wasn't strong in math and science, which she is, so she must have gotten those genes from my husband. But I would say, great, let's get you some extra math help. Let's get you some extra science help. Let's explore what you need to do to become a meteorologist, and let's figure this out together. And instead of just being told, you can't do this because. And it's stuff like that it seems really minor. But it's little things like that add up. And think of a pebble. Think of every time your parents said something hurtful like that or rejected you. A pebble went in your shoe. Think about by the time you reach adulthood, all of those pebbles in your shoes are going to add up, and it's really going to freaking hurt your feet. But you become so immune to it, just like that lame tree, that you don't even realize that you haven't grown. You don't even realize that you haven't sprouted into a beautiful tree. You have all these pebbles in your shoe, and you are so used to carrying around these pebbles that you don't even know. You don't even know what you could become because you're holding all of that, and all of that is hurting you still. And you've had calluses from it. But that's all still, you're still carrying it around. And so I really this week want you to start exploring, and this is what I do with my clients, exploring the things from childhood that have made you who you are and maybe have stopped you. I know that before I started one-question.net, I've got to promote myself, of course, that I never even thought about business because I had always been told that I was horrible at math. So I believed it. And I never even thought about starting a business because no one ever said I could. No one ever said that it was possible. No one ever said I had a great eye for business or I had great creativity. No one ever said that to me. So it didn't ever occur to me to start one until I came up with this middle of the night idea to start One Question to help people. And think about the things that people have told you that you couldn't do. Are you still carrying that around? Think about the personality traits that you have let's say your dad told you to smile no matter what. Do you tell your kids that? Do you smile no matter what? And as a psychic medium, I'm able to really point out those instances, or I'm able to point out that maybe your mother was narcissistic, or that your brother hurt you when you were 6, or whatever it is, but I'm able to pull that from you. But you can do this on your own by just asking yourself these questions. Who did I want to be when I grew up? Who did I not want to be? What did I need? What didn't I get? If I could create the perfect mother, if I could go back to being 6 years old and I could create the perfect mother, what would I create? If I could create the perfect father, if I could create the perfect grandparent. Start thinking about that and thinking about, and this isn't to hurt your parents, or this isn't to criticize them at all. This isn't about criticizing the past that you had. It's to start figuring out what you're holding on to from your childhood. And this isn't to strain relationships with your parents or whoever in your life, I promise you. It's about starting to take those pebbles out of your shoe so that you can grow. We are, who we believe we are. And a lot of us are the same person that we were as children because we were told that's who we were. Whether we weren't good at sports or we weren't good at math or whatever it is, we are still carrying those pebbles around. And so when we look back and explore what did people say that I couldn't be? What did people think of this? When you start exploring these things, and I always encourage people to start a journal and just kind of start writing when you feel like writing, put it by your bed. And even if you write a sentence or two, this isn't for you to look back in 20 years. This isn't for you to remember, these aren't your memoirs that, you're going to have published. This is about starting to explore where your pebbles are and what they are, and then you can remove them. Because once you recognize that maybe you did have a sense of abandonment, or maybe you are hurt like me, like I was, that I was told that I couldn't do something. And instead of someone encouraging me, and instead of someone reaching their hand out and offering to help me, I was completely shut down. And that wasn't the only thing I was shut down about. I was shut down of almost everything that someone believed that I didn't fit in their box of what they wanted me to be. And I have been that person very miserably for a long time. And it's really only even in the last 5 months that I've really shed that persona, because I realized that those pebbles were really hurting me a lot. And once I recognized all of those things that I was still carrying around, and I was actually recognizing it when I'm doing readings, I recognize things that I'm holding on to still. And which is wonderful. And I do say that my clients help me as well, because I'm able to say, well, darn, like I need to do that, or wow, I can relate to that. And so we help each other, and I love doing it, and I love helping all of you, because we all have pain that we're holding on to, and we all need to find that joy. We need to find that sunlight. We need to become those strong, beautiful trees. But we can't be strong, beautiful trees if we don't realize what's around us. And if we're not in a supportive environment now, we're not going to become strong, beautiful trees, because that goes into adulthood. Look around you now. Are you in a similar place that you were as a childhood? In your childhood? Are you married to someone similar to your father or your mother? What kind of environment are you setting for your children if you have children? And if the answer is very similar to how you grew up, I question how much you are really feeling fulfilled, unless it was the most awesome childhood ever. Because everyone has problems from childhood. I joke that, my kids are definitely going to be in therapy just for me being open as far as being a psychic medium. I can't wait to hear what my daughter has to say. And I'm not saying that to put her down at all. But I know that no matter what we do, we're going to give our children issues. No matter what we do, we're going to be putting pebbles in our children's shoes. But the goal is to give our children less pebbles than we had in our shoes from our own childhood. And if we're not changing things in adulthood, if we aren't changing our environment so that we can shine, then nothing is ever going to change. Nothing is going to change. And we can't, and sitting around waiting for change, it doesn't happen. It's impossible. If all I did was sit around and watch Bachelorette and Bachelor episodes and reality TV, I'm not going to make much progress in my life. Do I enjoy watching it to spin down from readings and from being a mom? Yes, but that isn't my only purpose, and that isn't my only thing I'm doing. And it can't be, day in and day out, you have to keep working on yourself. What's going back to, some people's questions about what am I doing here? You have to work through all those darn pebbles in your shoe, because what's going to happen is when you clear out all those pebbles, you're going to start seeing more stuff, because you're going to start to grow. And then from that growth, new changes are going to occur. And then you're going to grow from those changes, because we're always growing and we're always changing. Hopefully, In the best scenario. The worst case scenario, we don't grow because we sit here and we're in pain and we don't want to think about our childhood because it was super painful. We don't want to think about our young adulthood. We don't want to think about the stupid things that we did in our 20s. Guess what? We all did stupid things. We all did. I don't care if, I don't care if you're in the running to be president. I don't care if you have the cleanest record. We all did stupid things that we regret. It's part of growing up. And it's okay. And owning those things as opposed to denying them and putting them under the covers and putting them in those closets, that's only going to hurt us. And by being open with our friends and our family, that's where growth occurs. But we need that support. My therapist, and I think I quoted this on the last podcast, said to me a couple of years ago, find your tribe. And I'm finding my tribe. But believe me, my tribe knows that I can't dance. I dance like Elaine from Seinfeld. I get tipsy off of 2 drinks now because I don't really drink. I can be a handful as a friend. But I am also the most loyal and patient and kind person. And I'm a good friend. But I'm definitely going to admit my faults. And and we all have them. But we need to be more open with them. We need to be more open with our friends, those that are truly there for us, our tribe, because our tribe's going to stick with us no matter what. No matter what. Because my tribe is my tribe. And you have one too. And if you don't, work on finding supportive women or men in your life. That's numero uno. For being able to grow into a big, strong tree, you need support. You need people to say that they honor and love you as you honor and love yourself. But that's what has to happen first. And if you don't honor or love yourself, then that's where we need to do some work. There are always things about us that we can grow from and we can change. And there's always things we can do better. But by facing our past and facing maybe the reasons why we are who we are, we can grow into who I want to be and a better me. Because I want to be a better me. I don't want to be remembered as the 21-year-old that used to take 7 shots of vodka in the shower. I don't want to be remembered by the fact that I used to yell at my children a whole lot more than I do now, or that I scream and yell. I don't want to be remembered as the podcast host that rambled on and on and on. I don't want to be remembered as the woman that was a psychic medium and yet wasn't completely honest and vulnerable and trying to help every single person she could. I definitely don't want to be remembered as a fraud or someone that could not help people. And I promise you, I am not doing this for the money and I am not doing this for the fame. I am doing this podcast because I know that there are people out there just like me that have been through hell and just need someone to say, it's okay. We all had crappy childhoods. We all have gone through crap, and that's okay. But we have to face that crap to grow and move on. We have to face who we were. And this is something I am doing this year, and I'm facing it head on. And it is painful. It is painful and really freaking hard to face who I used to be, because I don't like who I used to be. Even as a mom, like, there are things that I have done that I am so not proud of. There are things as a spouse that I am not proud of. There are things as a friend. And that's okay, because forgiveness in ourselves is another step we all have to take. But we first have to recognize why we are the way we are. And therapy is a great step. And I recommend that we all are in therapy. We all need someone to just throw spaghetti at a wall, throw things at and see what sticks, see how, what we can learn from that. I think therapy is an amazing tool. And I also think finding a psychic medium that can really get to the bottom of the issue, someone like myself, and I'm not just promoting myself, but finding someone, like I told my mother-in-law today, finding out about past lives is awesome. Like, that's really, but it's entertainment. It's complete entertainment. And it doesn't really do anything for your growth to know that you were, a sword-carrying matron in the 15th century. It does nothing for today. But you know what does do something for today? Someone that can say, hey, at 6